Marcy, would you please lead us?
Yes, sir. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Welcome, everyone. Just like to do a quick reminder to everyone here. We will typically have two types of meetings per month, the first Monday and then the third Monday of the month. Though at times these could be canceled, rescheduled, or additional meetings scheduled at any time. All done with proper notice set by the state. First meeting of the month will be a workshop meeting to discuss and get feedback from citizens for upcoming agenda items and new city concerns or business. This means it is an exchange of ideas and solutions between citizens, council, and city staff. There will be an order and a structure to this dialogue. The second meeting will be what this meeting is, and this is my point to this. It's a voting meeting where only council is to discuss agenda items and then vote. The only public communication is at the time of public comments as described in Robert's Rules of Order. There will be no outbursts or distractions from the audience, please. And with that, I'll lead to the public comments section where any person with city-related business may speak to the council. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, if a member of the public comments or inquires about a subject that is not specifically identified on today's agenda, a member of council or staff member may only respond by giving a statement or specific factual information or by reciting existing policy. The city council may not deliberate or vote on the matter. Limit all comments to 3 minutes, and you can always reach out to your alderman for more dialogue. And we're going to set the timer for 3 minutes. Do we have anyone? I'm sorry, we need a roll call vote. I got right into it. Roll call, please.
Mayor Morris,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Green, Alderman Rupertus,
Here.
Alderman Madray,
Here.
Alderwoman Jones,
Here.
Alderwoman Hoffman.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Now, do we have any public comments? Any?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Deborah Talbot.
And she's on the phone, correct?
Deborah, you on the phone?
No, Andrea Spearing's on the phone.
Okay, do we have Deborah anywhere signed up to talk? We're gonna go to Ginger Jones.
Okay, I'd like to speak on the short-term rental.
Would you like your guests to be able to unmute their own mic? All guests have been muted. You will now begin the meeting.
Okay.
I'll give you an extra 20 seconds.
I'm sorry?
I'll give you an extra 20 seconds.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just concerned, I'm on the STR committee. And when we last met, which was before COVID, we were going to have the lawyer look over the document. And then there was going to be a public hearing so that people could ask questions or voice their opinions or give other information. And I don't feel like that has been done. I don't know about the lawyer, he may have looked over it. The only problems are the garbage collection, and it says it needs to be out there Monday, no sooner than Monday, 8 a.m. Well, a lot of the homeowners that own the house, not necessarily rentals, put their garbage out the night before, which if you made it like 6 o'clock Sunday, that would probably work better for more people. The noise, if we enforce the noise ordinance, we wouldn't need that. parking, if we enforce the parking ordinance, we wouldn't need that. And if we enforce the garbage collection, then there really wouldn't be a need for the short-term rental, I don't think. So that's just, I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Monica Allen.
Ginger, this is just, I know it. It's just so.
So, give me a second, I have notes. This is regarding agenda item number 3, the short-term rental ordinance. I own 3 properties here in Jamaica Beach that are all vacation rentals. I manage 2 others for off-island owners that would like to enjoy their home in the community and offset their expenses. When the committee met 2 years ago, the general consensus on the first several meetings were that the full-timers and part-timers had it with noise, trash, and vehicles. This ordinance doesn't address any of those. We already have ordinances on for all of these. This ordinance does not state at all what the $100 administration fee is for. It doesn't include who's approving applications. None of that is spelled out in this particular ordinance. As far as the trash goes, any of you who live in Jamaica Beach and are up and out when the trash collection people come, the amount that they leave on the street and in yards is disgusting. And there is nobody there to pick it up. Yet it's getting blamed on vacation rentals. Yes, we produce more trash than everybody else, but we all know there's a handful of bad STR owners in this city. And this ordinance doesn't address that because they're already violating what is on the books. This isn't gonna fix them doing anything other than fining them. I'd really like to have a public forum, which was promised to us a year ago, pre-COVID. And I'd really like to reevaluate the actual need for an ordinance versus the simple fact of you have to register to pay your property taxes and here's your permit number. Or adopt Galveston's short-term ordinance, already written, easy to do. Thank you.
Next.
We have no one else signed up.
On to next business will be consent agenda. The following items are considered routine. By the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. First one is approval of minutes of the regular city council meeting on June 21st, 2021. It's in attachment A. May I have a motion to discuss? Anyone need to? Do I have a motion to vote on accepting it?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So motion carries. We proceed to the regular agenda, which is discussion and possible action to approve the request to replat lots 45, 46, and 47 as recorded in volume 616, page 80, to be transferred to plat record 7, map number 94 of the map records of Galveston County. This replat request was due to 2 owners having 3 lots, whereby both owners will be dividing the middle vacant lot, thereby forming 2 large lots, and that's in attachment B. May I have a motion to discuss?
I'll make that motion to discuss.
I'll second it. Who currently owns, is it 46 then?
There are two owners of all three lots right now. And what they're wanting to do is you've got homes built on the exterior, sides, the perimeter lots. And they're wanting to divide the middle lot, just so they'll have larger lots. And it would just be more appealing as a homeowner with a larger piece of land, since it's, both of the lots are in the family.
That was my only question.
There is also, Alderman, there's, from what I've, been informed, there's no intention to build pools or anything else on this adjoining lot. And if they were, the setback lines move according to the new lines on the survey as well.
Actually, I did have another question, and I think I have the answer, but planning and zoning did not have any issues with this
I'm so
request.
sorry, please forgive me, planning and zoning voted unanimously to send it to council.
I know we do this a lot, and I would want it done if I was in that position, but I think something everyone needs to be aware of, that becomes tax money for the home that we lose as a city. I'm not against this by whatsoever, I just want to bring it to everyone's attention that every time we do this, which we've done it many, many times through the years, the city does suffer financially.
Mayor, you're absolutely right. Obviously, it's limiting building because you can't build a structure now, on that combo lot. There would be nothing, obviously, if the owners wanted to, dissolve the replat, they could do that and then, build on it later if that was the case, but, or even new owners who purchased, if someone purchased both of the pieces of property, they would do it. But you're absolutely correct.
Anything else, anybody?
I don't have anything. I make a motion to go.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Anybody opposed? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is number 2, discussion and possible action to approve the request for a partial replat of lots 3, 4, 5, and north half of lot 6 of Bayfront Drive home sites, as recorded in volume 18, page 702, Jamaica Beach Villas. This request was made due to the dissolving of the Bayfront home sites HOA and the liquidating of their assets. To facilitate the division of these tracts, the requests for replat of the properties were made in order for various owners of the adjoining lots to have a larger, more usable lot and further address any encroachment issues, as in attachment C. We have a motion to discuss.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Almost. I've been out there, I've reviewed the documentation. Brad, you're gonna have to just walk me through this.
Yes, sir, and it is actually, this one's a lot more confusing than your normal replatting of a lot. And what's happened is, everyone who knows here, the late Lynn Elliott, he was responsible to upkeep for the upkeep, maintenance, taxes, and bulkhead maintenance of these open lots there next to the villas, the villa lots, which were also referred to as I guess the South Side Golf Course there. In his passing and obviously sale of his estate, and the dissolving of the little HOA that they had there, their assets have to be totally liquidated. What the homeowners have done that live adjoining to these common lots are basically taking on the ownership of the lots. So they can have a free, and clear deed to them for encroachment issues, whatever, they're needing to, they had to do a complete resurvey for this replat. And obviously, for the maintenance and upkeep, someone has to be responsible for that as well. In Reserve D, I think, there was a mention, back a couple of years ago, Mr. Elliott, who was responsible for that, was actually gonna deed that to the city because of the bulkhead expense that it was that up. And so that it's just gonna be dissolved, amongst the existing homeowners there. And this also went before planning and zoning, and it was unanimously passed to send to council with no objection as far as the approval.
Have they considered deeding that over still?
The city wasn't interested at the time because we would be getting no value and just absorbing expense, because it's just a small strip of land that you can't do anything with other than cut grass and fix the bulkhead, so.
And my understanding was the city wasn't interested in that property, and the JBIC also wasn't interested.
That is correct. That is correct.
Anyone else?
Do you guys understand this?
I do, I mean, we built the house on that side of it, and I know the guy still owns it. And he probably wants it to keep anybody from doing anything next to him. And this other one, I thought they were condos. Are those condos there next to it?
Yes.
Lots 1 and 2.
Reserve D is what the condos are gonna absorb that one for.
They're gonna get the other ones for their people.
Correct.
I don't see anything.
Cause the existing structure of those townhomes are lots 1 and 2.
And on that one, at this time, there's no interest in build out or anything like that, and with the setback lines and everything, I'm not even sure that they could ever build anything on there anyway, other than, increase a boat lift or something on it.
Well, it was done I think it was done for condominium,
Right.
townhomes.
Right.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion to vote?
Yeah, I'll make a motion we vote on this issue.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Anybody opposed?
I'm opposed, but I'm gonna abstain. I can't see that in the picture.
Marcy, time to vote.
I'm in favor.
Ms. Stas?
Yes.
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 So, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action to approve an ordinance of the city of Jamaica Beach, Texas, establishing regulations and permitting requirements for operation of short-term rentals, otherwise known as STRs, providing a penalty for violations and providing for an effective date in attachment D. Do I have a motion to discuss?
I make that motion to discuss.
I was like, no, between those two.
Where did I put my notes?
Could I start the discussion, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have a few questions, and, for instance, can I ask Mr. Hyman these questions?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Hyman, can you tell me how many short-term rentals are in Jamaica Beach that are already registered, please?
I really don't have that number available, so
A ballpark?
I don't even have that.
Okay, thank you. How much hotel occupancy tax was, in total, was collected by short-term rentals?
Over 300,000.
Thank you. And can you give me an idea of what that might have been used for?
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I know what some of it was used for, but I couldn't give you a breakdown of it.
Okay, thank you.
That's all in the budgetary stuff.
Thank you. And who placed this ordinance on the, agenda to discuss?
The mayor.
Mayor, thank you. Referring to an email, I've sent you several emails over the, I've had lots of questions, and thank you for your responses. But referring to your email from July 12th, you stated your opinion, gave me your opinion about this ordinance. Can you share that opinion with us tonight?
I feel that there is a lot of benefit from the ordinance, but I do not think it's absolutely necessary for us to have the ordinance and still effectively control hot taxes, because we would need to amend the hot tax ordinance to do some things that we need to do, such as issuing registration numbers and cleaning that up a little bit. I do not think that the short-term rental ordinance is necessary. I see some benefit from it, but again, I don't think it's absolutely necessary that we have one on the books right now.
I see, thank you. And, was this final draft looked over and signed by our city attorney?
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you. Now, I attended all of the open, STR meetings and took video of them. And, but with the virus, those meetings started to be coordinated by emails. And was that final decision by our STR committee, was that made public?
The final draft with all the revisions was posted publicly, yes ma'am.
Oh, was that posted on the website?
Yes ma'am, it should have been. I didn't check whether it was, I was assured that it would be posted, but do you know if it was? No.
Okay, thank you. And as promised by our previous city administrator, was there a town hall?
I don't recall him ever promising that, but again, Mr. Hutchinson is no longer with us, so.
Yeah, there was never anything promised. I have the email that you're speaking of, and it talked about a possible meeting on April 4th, 2020.
I see, thank you. And a registration fee was discussed extensively by the STR committee. Who added and rejected by that committee? Who added the $100 registration fee?
That was a discussion that myself and the mayor had, and the reason for that registration fee, and I should let the mayor speak on that. If this ordinance does pass, there's gonna be considerable workload to get everyone registered by administration, and so the man-hour cost for that is where that was considered.
Okay, but and we adore you and appreciate you so much, but you work on salary, so this $100 fee would go towards?
It would go towards the cost of operation. In other words, the man-hours that would be cost, that would cost for the registration, maintaining the files, electronically producing the files, it costs man-hours. Right now, you would be looking at Georgia and NOLA, and maybe even having to bring in a temp to do some of the overage on that, depending on how fast this ordinance, the processing would be completed.
And me as a non-STR owner, I don't think it's fair for me or any of us others to pay for that. That's my personal opinion.
I appreciate that. Can I ask John Oakwood, did I say it right? Our interim chief of police, one question, please? Okay, just one question. Have you read this ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And how can you, on our police department, how can you enforce, for instance, section 6?
So section 6, you're talking about which part of section 6? Just the emergency evictions, or what are you talking about?
Well, in section 6, it also talks about having, the marina, rules, the beach rules,
Mhm.
the dog, being on a leash rules, those
Correct.
kind of things, and having them available to guests.
Mhm.
How can you enforce that?
How can I
Only-
enforce it?
Yeah,
I cannot enforce that.
okay.
I can enforce the actions of the people not complying with our rules.
Sure.
And their ignorance of not knowing the rules because the SDR owner did not provide them to them. And then I can also state that if they did know the rules, I would be able to cite people, which I can't because they do not know the rules at first, so we give them warnings. So if I knew that for sure that the renter had the ordinance or knew, then they would have already been signed a document saying they knew it, and I could enforce things.
I see, but if my son comes to visit and isn't following a rule, you would be able to, how could you expect him to know the rules if I didn't tell him? But you could cite him for something.
If he was violating a city ordinance as far as the marina permit, he would get a violation, then he would be cited because he was violating the ordinance, yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a noise ordinance as stated. We have a trash ordinance, a parking ordinance that will tow away problem cars, as the city administrator told us last month. Russell, you also said last month that we don't need to add any other regulation or change. We just need to enforce what is already there. We already have these ordinances and regulations in Jamaica Beach. Our ordinance just needs to be enforced equally and fairly to the city and not target a certain group of homeowners. I also believe that this ordinance will put our city at risk to litigation. After much research, I believe the final draft goes against the Texas and U.S. Constitution as it violates equal protection under the law under the 14th Amendment. I believe that there's, in the theory of don't complain unless you have a solution. I've offered a solution, the nuisance solution, to our mayor. I haven't heard back from you on that, and I look forward to that. Also, Stroke is a wonderful organization that the Short-Term Rental Owners Association of Galveston offers, for instance, a good neighbor brochure so that everyone has this available, and so I'm suggesting that we start with suggestions, education, communication, use our new website to help educate new people. We've discussed having someone as an STR liaison, so that there is someone besides the city that people can approach, and I hope that you assign me that position, please. I think 95% of our homeowners and STR owners would appreciate that approach rather than such a strong arm, and as I think, unconstitutional ordinance. I do appreciate all the work the STR committee did and our city administrators, but I simply cannot be in favor. I simply am not in favor of this ordinance, and mine will be a no vote tonight.
Okay, you had mentioned about, all these ordinances we have. Have you ever thought that when they don't know about them, and we're doing that education by having it written out for the guests of the STRs?
Oh, that can be made as a suggestion, but not.
But how many people do you think will really do it?
I think 95% of our short-term renters would look at that suggestion and act on it.
Okay, I had a discussion with an SDR renter who was very much in favor of this. And I brought up, well, hey, you know, what we're doing is we're asking that this be in written form, which includes a registration number, the name, the local contact person, in case there's an emergency, there's a leak or something, the location of off-site parking, because a lot of them don't know that, they're not educated.
Well, my apologies, I am in favor.
Instructions to guests concerning disposal of waste, which I guess we can still discuss about, and complying with our other laws and the use of the marina. She was like, the use of the marina. She was, I never even thought about that. I said, well, see, this is what we're trying to do, is give a format for every STR owner to put out. It's nothing demanding about it. All we're doing, and then in the second part on part B, it's actually just saying what the requirements are. The only requirements for this city ordinance, or this new ordinance, is to register and to post these items.
No, I think there's some other things that are.
That's all that
Make me
it
very
talks about.
uncomfortable. The registration, I think that we could make it maybe an amendment for, so that we have a registration way, maybe something Galveston does, and it's something like GDR with
Galveston's
a number.
new city ordinances is identical to what we've done. It's
Oh.
what they have, what they're about to put out. This is their new ordinance that they're trying to pass. And it's in very much parallel to exactly what
I read that, looked at that over, but can I look at Galveston's, could I look at that?
Sure.
Is Galveston charging for you, man?
Yes, the Galveston is charging, I believe, 50 or 100?
I would have to check.
50, okay. Yes.
They've been charging 50 for a long time.
Mr. Mayor, ma'am?
Yes.
And I don't wanna speak on a line by any means. And I started this conversation out by stating my opinion, and my opinion is, this is not an absolutely necessary ordinance to pass. And I still stand firm on that. But I also see a lot of great things that this ordinance can do for not only our homeowners, but for those property owners that have short-term rentals. In 6A, it doesn't say we have to post something on a board or on a door. It says somewhere during this process, they have to be given this information in written form. And what should be considered is this. In 6A number 7, this is where one of the controversial items that you brought up, Alderman Jones, was this emergency eviction thing. We have been at a house, and I'm speaking now not as your interim city administrator, but as your police chief, because I still hold that office. I have personally been in a house with over 80 people at a rental, and they were tearing up the place. It was total lawlessness. There were people parking in other people's property. There were underage drinking. It was loud disturbances, revelry. And when we contacted the owner of that house, and I informed them of what was going on, they said, oh my God, please, and what can we do? That emergency eviction thing, if you as a renter, as an owner of a rental house, and you put in writing, whether it's in the contract for the rental or whether it's posted or whatever, that you have to obey all these areas of this ordinance, and if you don't, you can be subject to an emergency eviction. Then it gives law enforcement a right to do emergency eviction without the owner on the premises. The owner would be notifying the primary renter that I want you to be you're hereby evicted because of the emergency situation here. The police can enforce that. So my question to any rental owner is, why wouldn't you want that? When it comes to the marina, why wouldn't you want to inform your guests that we have a marina that you can use for $10 day pass?
And you need to get it before the weekend.
Yes, and you get it before it's too late. I don't like the police having to write somebody a ticket, some renter a ticket for using the marina when they didn't know they had to have a pass or a permit. I don't like writing. I have responded, and the police have responded numerous times to calls of loud noise at rentals where we go knock on the door and say we have a loud noise ordinance here and you're in violation of it. And they were embarrassed. I was embarrassed for them, because they had no idea that we had that. They're from up north, Texas or out of state or something, they rent a house down in Jamaica Beach, on the water, they think they can come and party loud because it's a resort town. No one tells them that this isn't the case, that we do have an ordinance on the books. If that rental home owner would have advised that person in writing, just the ones I've dealt with, we wouldn't have had to respond there. This ordinance does serve a couple of things that are good, and one of them is the registration, and the other is, this is a proactive measure that will eliminate a lot of the needless calls and needless tickets being written. That's the part of the ordinance I do like.
And just some uniformity to what everyone should be doing, that way we don't have STR renter A only listing out 3 of these items, the other one listing out none of them, and one of them doing even more. You know, you have these different owners. We're just trying to get some uniformity, also where the police can go to that residence, and he's got one place to go to look for the name and number to contact someone, the owner, the operator, whoever it may be. Just like the instructions for the golf carts and slow moving vehicles. I can't count how many times we see underage children. When my kids grew up, we went to resort communities and they were 12 and they rode golf cart all day long. They didn't have an ordinance, or at least there wasn't nobody there enforcing it, and I didn't know of it. But here, if we've got it out, we're being proactive by doing this.
Again, I think that, pardon me, I think that, with suggestion and education is really the direction. I'm fine with having a registration number. Already with our STR, we already have names and addresses of owners. Responsible parties are already on that, the city keeps track of. They have to have a name to go with it to collect the hot tax when they fill that out. We could just add a registration number to that hot tax form that we already have. And the rules, we already know how much people read the rules just from the beach. We know that they don't read those rules either.
But just because they don't read them doesn't mean they're not there. But at least we've got some uniformity.
Yes.
that like if I would have went into where we were at up at Lake Hamilton and said, oh wow, y'all can't be driving, you know, it says right here. And it's not the state, the city, they make rules all the time. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's okay to break it. And we're trying to educate. We're trying to educate how to make all this happen and put it in a uniform context where it's just easier to follow. You know, if I would have been, I mean, we've stripped this thing down from what, 14 pages?
It was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, which I had a serious problem with 2 years ago. That's the other thing. Why has it taken 2 years to get this done? This is a simple document we need to have done, or something similar done. And
well, is this gonna be something that we're gonna have every home have to have these kind of rules in their home, and they're gonna have to tell their guests?
well, I'm present to tell my guests. I don't have strangers coming in my home and getting a profit from them, and I don't know them from the person driving by right now. We're on 3005. I don't know them. So my way of communicating with them, you know, I have so many friends that have the STR, and they vet them, and they tell them all these rules. But are they telling them what we think is important? No, not all of them. I mean, I had one tell me today. But you know, we're getting, these are the most important to us. Now, if they have their own personal guidelines,
Again, it
then,
comes to suggestion, education, that's.
how's that working?
Have we done any education and suggestions?
Since when is it? I mean, we've tried to let the public educate, and it hasn't worked. Now, we're trying to take and be proactive and say, hey guys, why don't you do this? That way we are educating. You know, to give a form to, a certain individual and say, hey, can you pass this out? They're gonna have to go make copies, it's just not gonna happen. An elective very seldom happens. If we make it in an ordinance, it will, and like I said, we stripped down everything that I thought was unnecessary. I think this is this gets everyone involved and gets communication going. In the communication that may not even be known that needs to be done, like was said earlier today. Anyone else?
Can I speak to you?
Yes, sir.
I've read this ordinance over several times. It is probably, and I suspect, the most reasonable approach to the issues that we have to deal with. It does offer a lot of benefit in that it is a uniform set of rules and regulations that are extremely reasonable, okay? And that apply both, it's equitable. It applies both to the rental owners as well as to the residents. It is fair and equitable. John made an apt conclusion, no one's ever said it. The people we're trying to reach are the guests. They need these rules. I'm a firm believer that 90% of the people will follow the rules if they know them. They're not out there trying to cause a problem. The fairness is a fairness to our guests. And I can't see what the rental owners have to hide. What do you have to hide? Why don't you want your people and everybody else in the community, we put all the rules and regulations in one place. That's it. I will vote in favor of this.
I have comments.
Yes, ma'am.
So looking back at the history of this ordinance, I remember when we first started talking about, you know, the problems that we were having and how we were gonna go about it. We had really good head steam. It got overzealous when it was 14 pages. It was way too much. I think it just, you know, when everybody got together and just had all these ideas and everything, it just was like, yeah, we're gonna do this and this and this, and that, it just got too far. But the pandemic did slow it down. I mean, it essentially came to a halt. So from the history of it, I personally am not gonna pass an ordinance that hasn't been approved by our lawyer, because I don't wanna be held liable for anything. The fee, I think, you know, maybe there's some discussion that needs to be had. There was the committee, I'm not sure if the committee has approved this version of the ordinance, and I do support that there should be a public hearing, because that was offered. While that person that offered it isn't here, it is worth hearing other people's opinions and seeing. We do have some very intelligent citizens that legally, you know, have contacted us with their input on it, and I just think that that's only fair to vet it in that regard, so we don't have to go back like we're having to do with the marina permit and, you know, correct something in 6 months that we just kind of rushed through. So I understand the need for it. I'm not a fan of this version of it. And I will tell you, I've been tons of homes and places, and they have the binder. I mean, it's just like when you go to a hotel and there's a little binder of what's close by to eat and what your expectations are. You should approach a place knowing that there's expectations of you as the guest. And if I were a short-term owner, I would, rental owner, I would have a binder, and my guests would know. I mean, I don't think that's fair to ask things of people that are traveling. I mean, you put it right out in front of them, and they sign a little book that they're here, and everybody's happy. But I think we just need to vet it a little bit further. I'm not comfortable with it right now.
Just real quick, I keep hearing that this was promised, a town hall meeting was promised. Where does everybody keep getting that?
It was in a meeting.
It was in the meeting.
STR meeting. I've got it on video.
Okay, because the only thing I received was a letter from Sean to the committee that says we have a tentative public hearing date set for Monday, April 20th, which was a city council meeting, and we did that.
That was COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't.
We didn't do it.
It was set and it went off
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, we had head steam and then,
Okay.
Marcy, I understand it, we've been doing this for 2.5 years. I mean, and we've had a lot of good comments, like you're saying, I appreciate the comments too. Really good stuff. So, I guess that's,
But passing a bad law just because we're on it's been.
it has a bad law in your opinion, not in mine.
And, anyone else?
You got anything? Okay. If this isn't needed, why is every state, city I'm hearing about doing the same thing? If they don't need an ordinance for SDRs, why is everybody doing it? Plain, I just attended a mayor's and alderman's meeting. Everybody's talking about it. They're all doing it. If it's not needed, why have we spent 2 years, countless city tax dollars, all of the volunteers help? Should we just rip it up and toss it and say, no, bad idea? I disagree. It's needed. I don't see the downside. If $50 is too much, if it's all about the
Yeah,
money,
$700.
let's discuss it. You know, let's do 50.
pull that out of there.
But, speaking as a first responder or from John, why wouldn't an STR owner, or me for example, if something happens at my house, I want people to be able to get a hold of me, or if I'm not around, I want a manager. That just seems like good common practice to me. Leaving a list of rules at the house, what's the matter with that? Can you put that can you spend 10 minutes and paste that into your contract? Can you slip it into your binder? I mean, are we really asking too much for these SDRs? We're trying to take care of these SDRs, but we have to take care of our homeowners, our first responders. We've got to blanket everybody. It's frustrating. We worked so hard. We get opposed so much. This went from 9 pages down to 4. 2 years later, I've spent countless hours on this, and I haven't attended every meeting. So I'm just exasperated. I just feel like we're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, and that's, you know, whenever I was lucky enough to be elected, even though these hard issues is something that I said we were gonna tackle. I've got something every month, a tough issue that we're gonna be addressing every month and discussing. And, you know, there again, if y'all said that it was not a good idea, then we'll move on, we'll make something else happen. But for us to kick the can down the road, those days have gone. We are gonna make decisions, and we gotta vote with our conscience. Y'all gotta vote with your conscience, I guess. I don't know that anymore. But, you know, I am here to try to mediate and visit with citizens, staff, and council, and I enjoy it. I mean,
well, I'll just say on a hot topic like this, I don't think it was fair to put on a month if there wasn't a workshop. At least if we don't have a public hearing, we should have had a workshop about it.
well, I mean, the workshops happened over the last 2.5 years, really.
Right. We didn't have any workshops during
Well, what I'm
COVID.
saying is just the talk, that's what I'm meaning. I mean, I've talked to 100 people. That's not exaggerating from SD owners to non-SD owners.
Excuse me, Taz, how many SDR meetings did you attend?
Oh, probably, no, I can't answer that without looking at my research and looking at how many videos I have for SDR.
You can't, or you can?
I cannot.
Was there 10?
Oh, I would think about 10.
So we had 10 STR meetings, give or take, where the public was invited to come and to speak, right, and comment. And here we are, we need another one. So after 10 meetings.
I didn't think the public was welcome to those. I thought we had public representatives.
Alderman, I was present at all of them. And I was present at all the one-off meetings. There was other than committee meetings, there were a whole lot of citizens that came in just to give their information. And each one of them, Sean and myself attended. Sometimes there were 2 citizens and Sean and myself. The city attorney was involved in the process at one time. You know, and as far as the approval of this or any other ordinance, if there is something controversial, we'll send it to the city attorney, and he can, you know, if there's a bounce off or push off from approval, then all we have to do is address that issue, table it and address it. There have, other than the beach access, there's probably not been another topic in the last 7 years that we have discussed more in the short-term rental ordinance. And again, with this discussion, you can take action before you make a motion to approve to change anything you want right now in the ordinance. If the registration fee is something that's, you know, something debated or should be debated, then this is an opportunity that you can take that into consideration, or any other area of this ordinance for that matter.
Well, I mean, why don't we do that? Why don't we just take any particular item that is of concern in the ordinance and
If there's anything to any of the aldermen that you feel like needs to be addressed, then address it and discuss it.
we can discuss it. Let's just start with the registration fee. Like I said, my belief is, I know there's gonna be a lot of expense and time getting this put together. And I'm not willing to pay for it as a taxpayer.
Can't the hot
Yeah.
tax money go for that?
Well, but that's being used for other things. This is never
It's
an
not
intention.
fully being used for other things.
Sure.
We have so much hot tax money encumbered.
So we just gonna waste it and not
It's
plan
not
for
wasting it, we're getting more every year.
Exactly, but at the same time, we've got plans, or we're going to be having plans as we get a budget for that. And, you know, it's, so my point is, I don't wanna pay for somebody else to make a profit. But I will do whatever is instructed. I guess that's.
I'm just looking at emails from citizens so that I can make sure that I'm addressing, their concerns, because this is not a personal issue for me, I'm here for the citizens.
As I am also, and the citizens I've talked to are not anywhere interested in paying for SDR expenses.
So it's $100 one-time fee. It's not annual, it's not renewable. It's a $100 one-time fee. Most short-term rentals rent for lowest being $217 a night. Are we really pressing them that hard? Are we squeezing every penny there? I feel, if it's not fair, it's close to fair.
What is fair, Tad?
Well, the only thing that we need is just a registration number, and I think that this needs to be tabled until we can have short-term renters be able to be here and not in the middle of summer when they are at their busiest time.
Short-term rental owners?
Yes.
This started in August of 2019. This went on for a year before COVID hit. So that being the case, they had a year to come in and discuss this and put in their input. I was in here for several of the meetings and it was full. So I would have thought that we started this committee and we entrusted this committee and the audience started to get through all of this and get it worked out.
So, but the committee didn't want a fee.
Yeah, the fee, that's your thing, right, the fee?
Oh, I have so many things going.
I saw the fee started at $150 registration, and then there was a $500 on the first one.
There was a renewal fee, that was.
Yeah.
Two fees in the beginning.
And that was,
Yeah,
and that
it
was
was
what
annual.
was, and that was what was stricken, is that no one wanted to continue the renewal fees. And there's really, once you register, there's really no reason to have a renewal fee, because there's no administrative man hours attached to that.
It's an administrative one-time fee.
and this is to set up a hard file and electronic file, so it does take man hours, and it takes man hours of people that are paid by the taxpayers to do their duties that are assigned to them, such as coordination of the court.
What's Galveston doing? $50 you said?
$50, yes, ma'am.
50, meet in the middle. We
And
got
it
some
needs,
saying no, we got some saying yay, so meet in the middle, compromise.
Oh, always meet in the middle.
and it should state a one-time fee.
Okay.
And Galveston's fee is $50, is that right?
Okay, so
So
on
let's
section,
make it $50.
on section 5, item 5, we'd like to change that to a $50 administrative fee will be assessed at the time of application as a one-time fee.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other particular items we can actually address and tackle right now?
Specific.
Woody?
Hey, Woody?
I've gone over it, but, I mean, like you said, it's been 2 years.
That's what I figured you were.
I don't need to beat a dead horse.
So- okay. On a side note, this was brought up. Brad, do you feel confident that we could approve this ordinance without having the public attorney review it? I mean, there's barely anything here.
Yes, and again, folks, if any area is contested about this ordinance or any other ordinance for that matter, if we have an attorney that gets involved in this and they're contesting an area of this ordinance, then we send that to the city attorney for review to match up on the grounds for the contestation. And then if our city attorney advises that we should consider amending, removing whatever that area of the ordinance is, just like any other ordinance, then it would go before council to amend this ordinance. You guys have been very used to amending a whole bunch of ordinances. And it happens all the time for a lot of different reasons, and legalities would be one of those reasons. But there's absolutely nothing in here, outside of any other ordinance.
Well, in our previous meetings with him, he's told us,
Absolutely.
no, yeah.
And
That's why we've whittled it down to this.
And there was, to bring out to you the most controversial item, if you would, that is still existing on this ordinance would be under 6B, number 3. It has been brought up by a couple of folks, that they feel that this is unreasonable because it's putting an extra burden on the short-term rental owner and could possibly, be unconstitutional under Texas law, Article 14. To better, I guess, educate everyone, is, it has been brought up that they didn't want the city or the police department or whomever to be able to fine a short-term rental owner because of conduct that occurred at their place of residence. Guys, that doesn't happen. Okay, the city of Jamaica Beach Police Department don't practice that way. We want compliance, and that's what we seek after. And we might have to educate the homeowner that we need this type of compliance, but there is absolutely no spirit or intent of this ordinance for the police department to be able to cite any homeowner for anything.
Except not registered.
Now, in this, there is a requirement that says somebody needs to respond. If they don't respond, we're not writing them a ticket. We're not bringing them to court. We're gonna say, hey, we needed you to respond because this is what we had at your house last night. And that is to protect their house. That is because we, even though we might not see a contract, if there's 80 people at a house that sleeps 8, the FBI would call that a clue. Okay, there may be a breach. Okay, so the police department will then go to the next step. Did anyone inform you in writing how many people you ought to be here. We're not setting that occupancy limit. We don't care. That's up to the homeowner for the safety of their guests and for the protection of their own property. There's not a home renter that wants 80 people at their house that sleeps 8 that's creating havoc. You know, Alderman Jones said something. She said about 95%, she thought, of the short-term rental owners comply with most of this now. And I agree with you. It might even be more than that. And I wanna go a step further. About 95% of the people who rent homes here, if they knew the rules, would go by them. And I believe that as well. You know, we have loud music disturbances at homes that are full-time residents here, and we have them, and we do involve them, and we do sometimes have to call them at night because they thought Junior was gonna be doing his homework, and Junior threw a wild party at their house when they were off in Dallas. And so we've had to call them. But there is nothing in this ordinance that is putting any owner of a rental under any special obligation other than information to their guests, which is good for their business. They want those repeat guests, and they don't want those bad reviews on Yelp or whatever there is. They don't want them on Facebook. We want those guests not to have to contact or be contacted by a police officer while they're here. We don't want them to have their 10-year-old kid jump in a golf cart and go get run over when they're crossing 3005. We don't wanna see those things. We don't want to have to write them a ticket when they're trying to drop their boat at the marina because they didn't know they needed one. That's what 6A does. And again, I am not opposed. I said this ordinance is not necessary, and it's not. But then again, half of the ordinances on the books are probably not absolutely necessary either.
Yeah, I mean, we welcome short-term renters and the owners. I mean, we want to have a welcome place for them to come.
It is very good for the city that we have short-term rentals here. It is good for the financial status of the city.
Okay, so any other discussion?
I appreciate you clarifying that, because I've heard so much that we were going to fine the owners, and I realized all along that wasn't valid.
That has never been the spirit or the intent.
Never. I mean, it's a very fair, reasonable, and the whole point is in order to educate the guests and put these rules in one place, you know, and that's it, basically. And to get these things running, registered as need be.
Correct. So, if no more discussion, well, I guess we will, have a motion to vote with the change for making the fee from 50 to 50 from 100, and to add it's a one-time fee. Do I have a motion?
We already have a motion on the floor.
I have a motion to vote. We've already discussed, now we have a motion to vote.
I'll make, yeah, whatever. You do it.
I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'd like to have a roll call vote. Ms. Marcy?
Don't sue me. Since I'm not comfortable voting on it if it's not approved by the lawyer yet. So I'll go with no.
Taz?
I'm a no.
Gil?
I'm a yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Yes.
Woody, yes. Motion carries. No, I lost my agenda. City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna try to make this brief tonight, obviously. We all want to go home. I want to once again say that we're so blessed to have Debbie Neds as our city secretary. She has worked tirelessly on the budget. You have a preliminary figures in front of you. I'd like you to study those, start working on them, because the first financial workshop meeting we will have will be the first Monday of August. We will have a financial workshop meeting and also a regular agenda workshop meeting with the item of the SOP on it. And so that will be ready for you on Monday. The schedule for the financial workshops, we will have another financial workshop before the regular scheduled meeting on the third week of August. We'll have another financial workshop in the first week of September. And we'll have the final budget ready for approval as the third meeting in September, which is where you are gonna have to approve. Oh, well, we'll have to make a, first Monday's Labor Day, thank you so much. We'll have to make a.
We've done it again.
We'll have to schedule the workshop for like a Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll send that information out to you. Thank you. Also, we've had on the ad for the city administrator's position, we've had over 400 people view it. We've only had 3 resumes turned in, but each one of them have some experience, and I'm very excited that we're having some folks fall into that and pay attention to that ad, and hopefully we'll have some folks that for the council to look at soon on that. And outside of that, I have nothing further right now.
Okay, mayor's report. I just want to say, every month we will tackle at least one major issue, and then we're also going to have several minor ones. We got to get caught up from years of backlog, but to also start on new projects and plans. In August, I'd like to make, of course, the budgets. That's going to take a lot of time, and the SOP is what I'm looking for in August. Budgets will take several meetings, as we just spoke of, some weekly. The SOP, I need every alderman to be involved, please. Russell, Ms. Rizzo over there, and Brad have worked very hard on getting those drafted, and we need to start looking at that and getting that finalized so we can vote on it in August. Also, with budgets coming up, we've got some great things that we're looking at doing, including possibly bringing the water department back in-house. Our city website, working on drainage issues, a few road projects. We need to get some generators for critical facilities that have got to be repaired. We're right in the storm season. We also have some, at the wastewater treatment, we have some major work to do out there. So I look forward to getting that all on the budget, and just keep moving forward, getting some decisions made. Alderman's report.
I don't have a lot. I have, for the August, the second meeting, which is the 16th, I believe, the Bird City, Texas people will come do a presentation. So if you guys are interested in, we fell into Galveston's approval for that. So Galveston's moving forward. And so we have a couple of birding things here, and then kind of expectations for Jamaica Beach with like educational materials and just what they're looking for. So I'll let them speak more to that, but I just wanted to put that out there. I'm a big bird nerd, so be a bird nerd with me. And then for the park and pool, we've gotten a lot of good compliments on how the pool is going this summer. So I'm happy to hear that, and I've gotten contacted about tetherball, which I'm still gonna order that, and then pickleball is pretty popular, and I've gotten some requests for that. So I'm gonna be doing some measurements at the park to get a pickleball court installed to get more activity at our park when it's not 9,000 degrees.
gonna bring up something that, with mayor's permission, and, that I registered the city for something that's called, Stars for Troops. John at Oakline reminded me of this program, and I got something if you pass them around, so that you can see that this is an organization. We are the 8th group to join Texas. It's an organization that has congressional approval to use the stars from frayed flags and share them with our active military vets and first responders. The embroidered stars are then cut out respectfully and used from like this, and used to be packaged and with a note. The note says, "I'm part of our American flag that has flown over the USA. I can no longer fly. The sun and winds caused me to become tattered and torn. Please carry me as a reminder that you were not forgotten. With gratitude from Jamaica Beach, Texas." Also, John had a wonderful idea, and I've had very good, by the way, did you get over here and give a donation to Debbie about John's other idea?
No, I'm gonna have to do that
I
for
hope you can do that.
I've actually
tonight.
got 2 donated. We got anybody from the fire department here?
We're gonna start something with John's permission, maybe we could call, the Kindness Project. This is John's idea. We have so many good and kind people who live in Jamaica Beach, and I often see people who check on the elderly, pick up trash on the beach, sweep and clean the park pavilion, catch a runaway pet and return them to the owners. Everyone appreciates a little pat on the back, and when our police officers, see something that happens, it would, because they're on the front line all the time, and when they see someone doing a good or kind thing, maybe they could stop and offer a token, gift card or something, like John suggested, like a $5 Starbucks card, a Subway card, for instance. Something positive where the police officers would be a wonderful thing. Now, I'm gonna bring it up to some other organizations as our group and see if we can get them to also support, but you can bring the money into Debbie, and she'll keep track of it. You can bring it to me, I'll be happy to help keep track. So far, with the mayor's donation, we've already raised over $200 to go to our officers. Now, keep in mind that our officers, these would not be for our officers' personal use, but it would be something for them to share when they feel it's appropriate. And, John, this is a great idea, and I sure appreciate you bringing it up to me, and I'll do everything I can to help promote it and get it going. Thank you.
Mr. Gill?
I don't have anything to report.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you know why. So I'm not gonna say anything.
Russell?
Right, it's been a busy month since we've last been here. The mayor's been dragging me to every meeting from here to Kima. We met with a couple individuals from JBIC. Please don't forget, they have a meeting coming up this Saturday. It's their main meeting of the year. They have a great guest speaker. It's very jovial. The mayor's gonna speak. You guys see Steve Cadenzia running around? He's gonna retire from JBIC after 13 years of service. Give him a pat on the back, that boy. And Donald Towner is gonna step up, fill the position.
Right.
Welcome.
Alright, interesting meeting. Hurricane Hal, and I'm gonna say they were called the Flood Group.
Something like that.
Flood.
Okay, you guys need to listen up, and at home too, listen to this. You're gonna have to get on the TWIA, alright? Texas Windstorm Insurance Agency, and look up Risk 2.0. Big changes are coming. By 2022, expected increase. They're throwing everything they do right now. Don't quote me on this, but they're not doing flood certifications anymore. They're not doing A/E zones. They're doing cost of replacement. Everybody needs to do their homework on it. I'm not versed enough, but there's big changes coming. And I don't want to scare you, but I heard heights of up to 18% on the windstorm. So you guys have been notified. All right, the West, everybody knows what WIPOIA is, right? Yeah. The West Galveston Island Property Owners Associating meeting. We attended that on Saturday, and long story short, all the HOAs up and down having the exact same problems with us, with HOAs and golf carts. You think we got it bad spending $17 to get a license plate? Galveston's talking about making everybody spend $1,200 to $1,800 to retrofit their golf carts for safety. Everything from windshields, rear view mirrors, turn signals, seat belts. So, thank you, we're very lucky there. All right, now at the Kaliston County Mayors Association meeting, lots of information. I don't want to bore you, but overall growth in Galveston County is up 8%. That's huge considering the struggles we just had with COVID. We have 2 new Amazon facilities moving in, a huge chemical company moving in. So people just keep coming and coming. I'm working with the mayor and Brad. My focus right now is on the infrastructure. That's where I'm gonna really put forth my efforts. I really wanna continue our water service providing, our sewer and waste service, and our street program. So I'm gonna try to concentrate on that. And that's enough for tonight.
Mr. Wood?
I'm good.
Okay. Did you? Oh, yes. Police report, Mr. John. Thank you, John.
Mayor, Alderman. This month's police report for June, we still have several projects ongoing. We're looking for granting opportunities for items that are needed. You know, we're looking at body cams, body armor, all types of things that we can try to find any type of grant money for. Working on items for proposed budget workshops that are going to be coming up. Planning and research still is on my list for the League City Consortium software change, which we probably need to budget into this workshop coming up for the next couple of years. This project's coming. For police activity, in June we had 4 new cases open for various items. Civil issue, stolen vehicle. Stuck behind that story is it was not stolen. It was actually picked up by a rental company by mistake. We did find it that evening. It was returned to the owner the next morning. It was still considered initially a stolen vehicle. A fraud case and a civil case. Personnel issues. We don't have any personnel issues to report at this time. Beach enforcement. We had a very good presence on 4th of July weekend. We had 7 officers throughout the city on both Saturdays and Sundays, along with systems of the fire department and other first responders, and the mayor, and a lot of other people out helping us. We did not have that many issues. It was a very good weekend. We just continue to tweak and try to improve our program that we have out on the beach. Traffic enforcement for June, our officers, while working traffic penetration and related items, wrote 169 citations in June. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No one from fire department's here, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Meeting adjourned.